Hey, everybody, and welcome back to Inside the Force. Dave Cottingham here with Casey Cooley.
Hello, everybody.
You know, happy Veterans Day.
Yes, geez, yeah.
Right?
I know, yeah.
To all our fallen soldiers out there and everybody that served, we really do appreciate that for sure. And I would be remiss to mention that.
There's a lot of veterans and, a lot of families, but our family in particular.
Yes.
Tons.
Yeah, it's funny because at school today, you know, we were off work today, but at school today, I didn't go. I don't know. But my wife's a teacher, and my kids are there, and your brother is a veteran, so he showed up. They do this slideshow. Do you know about this? They do the slideshow that shows pictures of all the kids and their connection to their families, you know, and it's funny because people think, oh, it's the Sam and Eliza slideshow because we have like so many veterans in our family.
So it's different people, not just like going to Corey's, like Sam. Because did Sam go to Corey's basic training?
She did. Yeah, she did.
But
no, it's a picture of Corey, and it says, you know, cousin to Sam and Eliza, and then my dad, and it's like grandfather to, and then it's like Butch, you know, and all these
that's good.
it's like a Sam and Eliza. Anyway.
Oh no, uncle got several uncles. Jeez, a lot of people.
Total
cousins.
side note. Yeah. So, but there is a lot of military in our family combined, and you know, we definitely want to say that. So. On to Star Wars. This is the show Inside the Force where you're going to dive into all the stuff that's happened in the last couple of weeks. You know, we'll go right into the first thing, which is in 7 hours?
About,
Disney Plus is launching. At least that's what the countdown on the website is heading towards.
Yeah.
6 a.m.
6 a.m. Quite possibly. Eastern time.
Yeah, Eastern time. So I guess at 6 a.m. you're going to be able to, you know, I'm going to throw this episode out immediately. So you probably, you might not listen to this till after 6, but this will be available here in the next hour or two. And I want to make sure, you know, that we don't, you know, we're going to speculate a little bit beforehand, but you know, you're going to probably hear a lot of what we're talking about especially on the Mandalorian. Mm-hmm. People are going to be seeing this thing, I'm assuming, at 6 a.m.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Are you?
Yeah. I'm probably not right at 6. I'm waking up, and I'll get ready for the day. Make sure I get ready for the day. And then last day, okay, let's get Disney Plus set up, and let's watch Mandalorian. Then I'll head into work. So I'll probably be more like around 6:30-ish. So,
yeah,
you know, make sure I download it right and everything.
Yeah, my kids get out to school like at 6:40 or something like that. So I plan on.
I might be getting a snow day tomorrow.
Actually, you're right. They could be getting a snow day. It's snowing here in Kentucky now. So Disney Plus, of course, Mandalorian drops tomorrow. Let's move on about that because I want to come back to that. Mm-hmm. But Disney Plus itself, the big thing is all the content that's coming for this thing, obviously.
Oh, yes.
All the Star Wars movies, all the Marvel stuff. I mean, just Disney itself, you know.
Yeah, the vault is opening.
Yeah, so, you know, well, for one, I was thinking, because I saw an interview with Bob Iger just recently, and he talks about the streaming wars, you know, that are happening. Well, they're asking him about it. Like, are you worried about the streaming wars? You know, all these different, and not only are you going against it, but how do you feel? They talked about how do you feel about consumers when they're looking at the catalog of stuff they can get. You know, if they get this and Netflix, and you know, it's like they're all of a sudden they're paying more than what they would for cable, and it's like how do you combat that? And I think his answer was pretty interesting. He basically said, "Look, it's." Our properties, like you can't get our properties anywhere else. You won't be able to get it anywhere else. Yeah. I mean, do you feel like is Disney Plus going to be successful, you think? I mean, in the long run.
I was briefly thinking about this today before even, you know, getting on the show, but I really do. Of all the big streaming giants out there that are coming out or already have their own platform, because Warner Media is coming out next year. and Disney Plus and Apple, all this stuff's happening. I think Disney definitely will be successful, as well as like Warner Media, because the amount of content they have, and Disney's already the amount of content they promised to come out with under very successful franchises with Marvel and Star Wars and Monsters Inc. and all these other Disney properties that they're continuing to make content for. I think it's definitely going to be successful. It already has an audience, like a huge audience. So I think Disney's totally safe. As long as they do keep. I think the key is the new original content. I think that will ensure its success for the future. If it was just their library itself, no. I mean, it's kind of like like we're kind of as fans, we're kind of in this problem with the DC streaming service.
Yes.
It's like, yeah, it's great. We have new shows that we get to watch, but it's not that many new shows, and the library it has isn't. It's great, but it's there. It's not growing really. So until maybe they migrate with Warner Media, expand the library, and hopefully new content, then it'll be truly successful. So I think Disney Plus will be great. I think it's in great shape now. Apple TV, we'll see. Apple TV Plus.
Yeah, because I think when it comes down to this, to Disney Plus, I also think about Bob Iger has been also mentioned about the state of the films and
Star Wars films.
Yes, Star Wars films, and are they going to be on hold for a little while?
Right.
And in reference to that, he mentions that I think this was an investor call that he normally has, and he mentions how that they're focusing a lot of Star Wars content on Disney Plus. It's not just Mandalorian. Of course, we know Obi-Wan and Cassian, but it's like they are developing more content, or they're thinking about developing more content.
Yeah. Earlier stages, yeah.
So it's a question then that becomes, okay, well, if the films are actually becoming more rare, which sucks.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Is that a smart move? Is just putting maybe a movie or maybe a series on Disney Plus, is that enough? Because I just feel like, personally, I feel like that I'm one that wants a Star Wars film every year in the theater.
Yeah.
I mean, I want that. And if you're telling me right now, even if they plan on still sticking with the timeline that they showed us, that there's not going to be another movie out till 2022, like that's I hate that. It's like, I want a movie. And I can't wait for The Mandalorian, and I can't wait for Obi-Wan especially, but it's like, there's nothing like going to a theater and seeing a Star Wars movie. There's
Absolutely.
not. And if I just get a Star Wars movie on the streaming platform every once in a while, to me that's not the same thing. And I know you got to expect also that those films aren't going to have the normal budgets that you would.
Yeah.
Maybe I could be wrong, but I just don't see the $150, $200 million budgets in those films. And, you don't have to do that. That's the thing, too, is like you don't have to make a $200 million movie to make it good. You can do, as we've seen with just Joker, like you can make a $50 million movie and it could be really good.
Yeah. So,
but, they're throwing over $100 million at The Mandalorian. That's an 8-hour, movie basically we're getting. Anyway, I'm just questioning a little bit about how much content are we actually going to get on Star Wars? Because it just seems like to me that they're lessening the theatrical releases, but they're increasing the content on the streaming service, and I can't figure out what the difference is. Why, you know what I mean? Like, why do they think it's okay to? And maybe it's not. But why is the answer? Let's less on the films in the theaters, but more on the streaming content.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing I can think of, because I don't know, I don't understand 100% the analytics and how streaming services make money and how they judge viewership and all that stuff. because I've heard like on Netflix movies that I watch on Netflix, and I hear, oh, they had like so many millions of viewers, and it's like, okay, great, but like, I don't know. Again, I don't know how all that generates into dollars.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
I don't get it, but I do understand. Maybe it makes sense. I'm kind of trying to make sense of the logic that I don't understand, but yeah, I get Bob Iger wants it. I mean, he was saying maybe they rushed things too quickly, putting up too much content in theaters too quickly. Thus Solo and all that stuff. So he's pulling it back. I think he was even saying how the Star Wars movies and theaters need to be more of a special event again. So I get it. Treat it more like it's a special moment, which is fine. But maybe boost the content on the streaming service, because perhaps they can get away with more, if that makes sense. Like, so like, I think we said it on the show here before, but like if Solo was instead a straight to streaming service movie as opposed to a theatrical movie, maybe it could have disguised the box office, I hate to say failure, but the box office underperformance that it was. Perhaps if it was released on streaming service first, then no one would looked at the ticket prices as much and just focused on the film itself, and then would have been seen more as a success. So I guess that's maybe, if that's how it works, then I can see that being, let's do more content on streaming service. Let's do more television and more Disney Plus movies for Star Wars, because we could do more, we can make them more, make them cheaper, and they'll just be more successful in general. Maybe not the caliber of a Star Wars movie in theaters, but still, like, I don't know. It's like that's kind of how I could try to wrap my head around it, if that at all makes sense. Basically, in a nutshell, more content, streaming service, they can get away with more, and it basically covers, I hate to even say more flaws, but like it's just it can be more successful as a streaming service movie as opposed to a theatrical film. I mean, I think that's evident, as we've seen with things on Netflix. I don't know, like, I don't know. It's weird. It's a weird new world.
It is a weird new world.
I'm still having a hard time wrapping my head around it.
Yeah, because they've sold. Yeah, it's a question. I don't know how many people have pre-bought Disney Plus. So however much money they've dumped into developing the platform. Again, they've already had the majority of the library, but they've had new movies in development for it, like Lady and the Tramp and this movie Noelle with Anna Kendricks. And then you have you have the Monsters Inc. TV show, and you've got all these High School Musical coming back.
Lady and Tramp, all this stuff.
And then you got, of course, Mandalorian, and you've got Cassian Andor in development. You got Obi-Wan in development. Who knows what else they've got? Movies. They've got plenty of movies in development. So there's a ton of money that they've already dumped into this thing.
Sure.
At what point does the subscription level start earning that profit? I don't know. So
I mean, the only stat I've heard in terms of benchmarks for Bob Iger is that I think I read that by 2024 he thinks we'll have 60 million subscribers Disney Plus.
Wow.
Which I guess that's a lot, right? I think I don't know what to judge it by.
I think Netflix, we can look it up, but I think Netflix is like 50 million.
Yeah. Well, because you're on the right track. Well, I was trying to think in my head, like, hey, how many people already have subscribed? Are they already making money on this or not? Because, I mean, let's just say people are buying into the $70 a year package, But I don't know how many subscribers would be a lot at launch. Like, would 1 million subscribers be a lot right now if they had it pre-sold? So I was just trying to think, like, if it was 1 million subscribers, $70 a year, it's $70 million they have right at the starting gate. That doesn't seem like a lot to me at all.
No.
So maybe it's more. I don't know. It's just.
But is that so? You're saying prepaid for the year?
Yeah. Let's just say people have done that, which I know a lot of people have already done the package.
Yes.
The cheaper packages and stuff. But
see, that's the thing is. So you said 70 million?
Yeah,
no?
$70 a year. If there's like 1 million subscribers at launch, maybe.
Well, let's just say there's probably a lot more. So Netflix right now in 2019, they added 5 million, so they're at 60 million subscribers right now.
They've been on for a long time.
Yes, years.
Yeah.
Right?
So in 5 years, Bob Iger wants to be almost at that point. I think it's possible, definitely, because the streaming. I mean, let's just say Netflix honestly hasn't been huge until the past 6 or 7 years, honestly. So it took them probably 6-8 years to get to that point, and Bob Iger wants to do it in 5. That is insane, but it is Disney, and they have so many properties already. So I do think that's possible. But
Okay.
yeah, I'm curious of what it is now.
So here's a headline that I just read from 5 hours ago. Business Insider says that already before launch, Disney Plus has nearly 2 million subscribers.
$140 million at launch. That doesn't seem like a lot, but maybe that is by the streaming service
That's
standards.
only $30 or $40 million more than what the Mandalorian cost.
Yeah,
so,
but they like you just said, they already have so much money put into all these other.
But here's the thing:
content.
is that think about those subscribers, though.
Yeah. American subscribers, really, probably, right?
Yeah, it's all U.S.
Yeah.
It's only U.S. So that doesn't include what is going to be, European market, and even Martin, my co-host, he's in Canada. Yeah. He's not even sure how he's going to get it yet.
Sure, yeah.
So 2 million subscribers. I do think that will increase this year, even by the end of the year. Whatever, we're kind of getting too much into this, but it's like. You're right. I mean, there is a formula there. I think we can figure out a little bit of how much money they're going to have. But if they've got 60 million people paying $70 a year, that's pretty good money.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, so that's pretty good money. So again, with and I didn't even mention like all the Marvel TV shows that they're doing.
They got a lot already planned, which is surprising for Marvel.
Yeah, they've got like a half dozen at least.
Yeah,
So there's good talks there. That's a good discussion to have, and whether or not Star Wars is going to be successful in there.
Yeah, so kind of back it up a little bit. Personally, we'll go on what Bob Iger said about more on the streaming service, less in theaters. Like you, I wish it was like a movie a year. I do like the thought of going back to having it every couple of years or 3 years if they want to do it that way eventually, because it does kind of it stings, but it does build up a lot of excitement, a lot to look forward to. However, I'm more okay with that because I am confident that we'll be getting a lot of content on the streaming service, and that will be good for me. And I hold the stuff on the televisions and television shows of Star Wars and the TV movies, even though that's not really accurate anymore. But I hold those just as high as the movies content wise.
Yeah.
And it's already I'm already just today I've been thinking this is such a cool new feeling.
Yeah.
To think of a TV show, first of all, not just a live action TV show, but it's this is a new thing. It's not the same as Rebels or Clone Wars. This feels bigger and more special because maybe it is because it's a live action show, and it's just how my brain works. But no, I like this new feeling of a live action Star Wars television show that is canon wise and content wise going to be as much of a huge story as the films are, and to have it on a week to week basis, not as a binge kind of setting. I'm very excited about that possibility and to get more shows like that.
And I am, and I'm with you. I think especially in the beginning here when we know we're getting the Mandalorian, once a week. But I do wonder. I still have to wonder. Is at some point is it going to be too much on there? And what I mean by that is because I hear other people talking, and I've seen people on Twitter too about this is another show that with all the shows that are out there from every platform, from cable to Netflix, it's you have to start almost picking and choosing what am I gonna watch, because I can't watch everything. At some point you just can't watch everything.
Yeah.
And I kind of felt that with the Marvel shows on Netflix. Daredevil was coming out, and all of a sudden Jessica Jones came out, and then Iron Fist came out, and then Luke Cage came out, and then the Defenders, and then season 2,
Punisher.
Punisher, and I lost track, and I stopped watching them. And then for one, I heard things weren't that good. This season wasn't that good, and then they weren't going to build up to So anyway, I definitely don't want Star Wars to go down that road where I get it right now. Like I have Mandalorian until the end of the year. And then it sounds like I'm not getting anything until February when the Clone Wars comes back. We don't know anything about launch for Cassian. Obi-Wan, which is in my notes here, which we'll brief over, they start shooting in July. Does that mean we're going to get Obi-Wan by the end of the year? I doubt it. Right. I think probably 2021. So if it's spread out like that, I get it. But, you throw in another movie or you throw in another animated series, because they're working on an animated series, I'm sure.
Gotta be. Hopefully.
It's like, is it going to be like, and then I got other shows that I watch that, and I do feel this I feel like I've heard this with the DC universe too, like the Arrowverse, no matter how great that is.
It's hard for me,
It's hard to watch them all, right?
It's hard for me.
Like I lost track of some of the shows. So
yeah.
I don't know. At some point, I think that fans are going to feel that. And, I think there's a balance there. I just don't know what that is yet.
I mean, that's good. That's a good point. I really heard of it, even though I'm experiencing that, but I've never quite had it actually laid out like that, where, yeah, it's a lot to juggle for a one fan to consume it all. I mean, I guess it's, I can tone it down to the books, comics. I'm way behind on a lot of that.
Yeah.
So, but I'm still trying to read when I can. The books are like that. The Resistance, I'm, having a hard time catching up on as well, even though it's just one animated show. So, yeah, I mean, doesn't seem like it's a good early sign of more content at once.
Yeah.
I mean, this month alone, we're getting all kinds of content across platforms.
Oh, my gosh,
and media.
yeah,
So
right?
It's a lot to. I mean, I'm glad because it's keeping me busy until Rise of Skywalker, but it is a lot.
This is distracting us for sure.
Yeah.
but it is, and that's something I feel like we're going to be talking about in the coming episodes and the coming year, is that, what is too much? Is it too much? Because to me, once a year in the theater wasn't too much.
Oh yeah,
and because that whole year was just a build up to, anyway, let's Disney Plus. It's coming, and we'll talk a lot about it as it unleashes the Mandalorian as well as the Clone Wars coming in February. And we look forward to definitely. I mean, I just think once it rolls out, I do think that we're going to start getting a lot more announcements of what is coming on Disney Plus. So we'll keep posted, and we'll do that. We mentioned briefly Obi-Wan series. There's confirmation that they start shooting in July. It takes place obviously between episodes 3 and 4, all that stuff. So I'm stoked. We haven't heard anything about Cassian in a long time.
Right.
I'm assuming that's either started production, or if it's going to start before Obi-Wan, I guess.
It's so weird that how that's been treated in terms of just talk on the news. I guess, I mean, it still makes sense that Lucasfilm really does like to do one thing at a time.
Yes.
Which is cool.
Yeah.
But it's almost like someone had the quick idea of do a casting show, and they just said it, and then like, oh wait, now we actually got to do it. So now they're backing up a little bit and trying to figure things out.
Yeah.
Because no one's been talking about it, and they barely talked about it at the last convention and celebration. No, it wasn't celebration.
It was Comic-Con.
Comic-Con where
D23.
Where they had the panel where Diego Luna and Alan Tudyk had their panel.
Out. Yeah.
So it's funny. It's interesting. But
it's funny. I feel like that same day,
the
Obi-Wan get announced. McGregor walks out. It's like, oh yeah, we are still doing a show over here.
Oh hey, and we're before them. We're first, so we're good. We'll tee it up for you.
So some great content coming, and there's going to be more announced, I'm sure. Like you said, the content in November is crazy. This Friday is Jedi Fallen Order.
There you go. It's already hard. I don't know if I'm going to be able to play it, when I'm going to be able to play it. That's a lot coming out.
No, I already done told my wife, like, you're not bothering me this weekend.
Yeah.
Like, I'm coming home. My football season's over.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I'm coming home Friday night, and I'm playing Jedi Fallen Order, period. So I think we tried to plan a date night. I said Saturday night.
Funny.
Saturday night.
Oh, that's good. And then you're going to be like in the middle of a mission. Like, honey, we got tickets. Let's go. Yeah. We got reservations.
We got resis. So Jedi Fallen Order, yeah. I mean, I think briefly talking about that, I just think there's Granted, I'm excited about playing the game, but more than anything, I'm floored on where that story is going to go.
Yes, absolutely.
Like, well, no one's talking about it. No one's talking about this rogue Padawan, 5 years after the Order 66.
Yeah.
And he's wielding a lightsaber. He's out there. It's like, what is going on in this story?
It's almost the opposite of casting, where it's like they came out strong, and now it's like, very under the radar. But Star Wars show will have a thing, or they had the Triple Force Friday, obviously.
Yeah.
So, but it's like no one's talking about this.
No,
this is like a huge thing because it does look like it's kind of a crazy impact. I feel like in canon. I think it will.
I 100% agree. And it doesn't seem like it's going to stop here either. Like, there's going to be other games, I feel like, with him in it.
That'd be cool.
Is it Cal Kestis?
Cal Kestis,
yeah. So, like, I feel like his story is not going to end in this game, and it's going to go on. And
I mean, I hope not. I hope his story isn't cut short here because it is hyping up a lot for something. I mean, anytime when you're dealing with the Jedi Order, the mythology of the Jedi, it's like, how can you just be a one and done thing?
When I see these videos online about especially the gameplay stuff, and they talk about, like, I really have this sense that it's kind of the reimagining of The Force Unleashed.
Yeah, totally.
Right? Like, they created that story to kind of introduce the beginnings of the rebellion, like how the rebellion came to be. And it was a fascinating story with
Sam Witwer's character.
Galen Merrick, right? Starkiller, right?
Yeah.
So, and for a while it was kind of canon, right?
Oh, definitely. It was definitely canon. At the time.
Until they, Legends, and
Legends did,
now it's like I have that deja vu almost of when that came out. It's like
Absolutely.
I'm seeing this character, and it's like somehow I don't know what it is. We got that glimpse of Saul Guerrero. Like, I think, and maybe not in this game, but I think in the stories to come, somehow he's gonna come cross paths with Bail. And with Mothma and some rebels. I just think that that's the path that's going to happen. Maybe not in this game, but I think in games to come. So I like you said, I think he's gonna have a major impact in the canon.
Yeah. No, I feel like a lot of people have been making the connections of this game to Uncharted and God of War. I think even Tomb Raider a little bit. I've heard some people connect it to Force Unleashed, but like you just said, everything I've seen, almost the first thing I think of is Force Unleashed. I mean, the aesthetic of it. It's been a while since I played the game, and I'm sure, obviously compare it side by side, there will be some differences. But when the game came out, especially those trailers came out, it looked incredible. I think the graphics were phenomenal. So
the fighting was incredible.
Yeah, I think it was it was a great game to play. And so everything I'm watching and seeing, it's like, gosh, this does feel like the Force Unleashed to the next level, if you can say that. So. But I'm excited about where it's going to go, because even the Art of book that's coming out for it, it's all these images of temples and some kind of priestess characters. I'm not even sure. I forget. I think they have a name, but I can't think of it. It looks crazy, but even the trailers have barely tapped into the possibilities of that story of going deep into the Jedi Order, or just the Jedi themselves in the Force. But we get the lightsaber, we have all this other stuff that really tease it up for something that could be quite big.
Yeah, it's gonna be one of them things where it's gonna be, you can eventually, I'm sure someone really good at usually doing this stuff, you're gonna be able to get on YouTube and just watch the cutscenes.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
It's gonna be like a hour or so long movie, and you can do that with like Battlefront 2 with Iden Versio's story. Right. I'm definitely going to do that. I mean, I'm going to play it, obviously, but I'm going to try to get into that too. So, Jedi Fallen Order Friday. We'll talk next week about it. I'm going to get into it, and maybe Casey will get into it.
Right? Yeah.
What do you still have an Xbox?
I got PS4 now.
Oh, yeah, PS4 now. That's right.
Swapped it.
He's a traitor. So, speaking of being a Jedi, we talked briefly about it last week. This week, we have both now experienced Vader Immortal, Episode 2, with the VR system, and I I don't know if I bought it. Did I buy it before last episode? No, I didn't.
No.
So since the last episode, I went and bought an Oculus Quest. Because after the first episode, experiencing on the Rift at work, I was like, I just got to get this thing. This thing is phenomenal.
I don't be tied by cords.
Yeah. So the Quest is a standalone unit you can buy, and downloaded episode 2. And Casey came over this past weekend and played it. And no, actually, you played it at work in my office. I brought it to work.
Yeah.
And I first picking it up, like, of course, it continues from the first episode, but this introduces the force power, like picking up things and destroying things, and throwing things, and it furthers the storyline of what's happening. And what did you overall think about it?
It was cool, man. Just really quick, immediately, the gameplay was a lot of fun. The moving things around with your hand, moving rocks, and which is funny that the first thing you do is move rocks when you have the force. You move a lot of rocks and droids and stuff like that to do battle, and that was a lot of fun. It's pretty. I mean, it is pretty. I hate to be like, oh, it wasn't 100% realistic, because obviously we're not there yet, but it was pretty good. Like, you're moving this thing around, you're gripping it with your hand and moving it around the screen, the environment, further away, closer to you, you're using it to hit other things, and it was really a lot of fun. And it is fun to experiment with this VR world of actually how much you can do with the story. It's pretty cool. It goes a lot into the history, into the mythology of Mustafar, which I didn't even consider there to be a mythology of Mustafar.
Right.
Really. So it's gone to a really cool direction with that, and with Vader, obviously, and a lot of it ties to some other stuff with Vader in his castle on Mustafar. But it's a lot of fun. I mean, and going back again, the gameplay, I get a little bit of a headache, not like it's too much dizziness, but I mean, it's just, it's like a 35-minute long chapter, and that's like right there at the max of like, okay, I need to stop playing, because it's kind of hurt me a little bit. But no, it's a good immersive experience, and I love it.
Yeah, it's very immersive. Episode 3 drops here next week, I think.
Yeah, another thing. Yeah,
which is the last chapter of this VR story, Star Wars Vader Immortal. I'm with you. I play it, and occasionally I've been popping on there and like getting on the lightsaber dojo. You can fight things, and
I need to
that's
do that.
crazy. I mean, you're like, with one hand you're crushing like a droid. You're turned around like blocking lasers. I mean, it's really cool. I enjoy that just as much as I do the gameplay. And I'm one of those ones that I am motion sensitive when it comes to moving when I'm standing still. Yeah. Like, I can't do
moving
that.
through space, like forward and backwards.
Yeah, when my mind is telling me I'm moving, but my body is not, like, that's motion sickness for me.
Yeah.
So when I did the void thing, where you're physically moving, like, I'm totally fine with that. Sure. Like, I'm moving into the next room, not floating into the next room, right? Yeah. Here, so you did it the way you switched it over and tried it.
I wanted to test my limits, and if you don't go crazy, so basically with the joystick, you move directionally, forward and backwards, whatever, and you turn directions by just turning your head. So I look right and move the joystick forward, and I'm moving. You are just gliding over, but you go up and down the stairs, you go over objects, and when you're climbing ladders or doing monkey bar type things, you have to actually grip and move your arms in that motion. And then it was actually that was really cool. Yeah. Because I'm climbing a rock wall, and I get to the top. I have to like find something up there to grab and pull myself up. And it's like, you really do have to reach and like feel like you have to like yank yourself to the ledge. So that's a lot of fun. But no, there was a moment where like I was trying to test my limits, but I'm excuse me about that. Moving forward, and then I turn and like move sideways and do like a weird, and it did trip me up a little bit. Yeah. So it does get you. I mean, I'm usually not motion sickness, and there's a couple moments where it did mess with me a little bit. So, be careful when you're doing it. But it was good because you do map out your space, and I think it does a great job of warning you when you're approaching it and kind of stopping you when you've hit that mark. So you don't unless you're just like Corey, like my brother, who just gets so excited and he'll swing and like fling his hand around and just totally bypass those warnings and like hit the wall or something like that.
Totally.
So, but it's a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun. I highly suggest it because it's incredible. It actually is far more advanced than I anticipated. And there's other great games on there too that I'm playing. Like I haven't bought it yet because I knew I was going to buy Jedi Fallen Order, but the Creed game on there where you're boxing is wow. That's a workout. Yeah. Corey was actually here tonight going like, man, my shoulder hurts.
Again,
like, what?
He's like, he gets all into it. Yeah. That's
so anyway, go check that out if you get a chance. Really fast on the novel front. We both have finished Crash of Fate now, which is the junior novel about Blackspire Outpost. Just a quick, I give it probably 3.5
out of 5.
Out of 5.
Yeah. That's pretty good. That's pretty fair, I think.
Yeah. Similar to Blackspire, the book by Delilah Dawson, they both are kind of leading to the same event. Yeah. Which I thought was pretty neat. We talked about it on here with Blackspire about the battle and the what I think is the Rise of the Resistance at Galaxy's Edge. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I think it was a good book. It's definitely worth doing. It's very similar to Lost Stars, even though I wouldn't put it up there with Lost Stars.
I mean, yeah.
But it's a young romance novel centered around Blackspire, and it's definitely got some good moments, and I did feel emotional in some of the spots. So overall, I think it was a decent book.
Yes, Lost Stars. In terms of the theme, like it's a romantic kind of book, and it's young adult, so it has that kind of language in there. But Lost Stars really connects you to the wider galaxy, and it spans decades and spans across all the films and all the major events. Crash of Fate is very much focused on Blackspire, and it's its own thing. It references events from Force Awakens, Hosnian Prime, Maz's castle being destroyed, stuff like that. That's all you have to go on, so you get an idea that this is maybe days or weeks, maybe a month or two, several months after Force Awakens. It's not totally clear, but it is similar to Lost Stars, but not quite the same. But so if you like Lost Stars, I think you will like this. But I probably am not as huge of a fan of Lost Stars as a lot of people out there, even though I do like it. But I think a 3.5 is pretty good for Crash of Fate, and I enjoyed it. It was good.
I definitely think Lost Stars, the writing, was really, really good.
To me, it had a great.
I got drawn in, a lot more.
Epic. Yeah. Cool.
We both have started Resistance Reborn.
Yep.
The guys over at Living Force Podcast are giving us getting a review video sent over to us. We'll probably get that hopefully on the next episode for you all. But that has been out a little over a week now, or actually a week now tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I'm excited about getting into it. We talked about it last time. That a little surprised that it takes place just shortly after The Last Jedi and not so much closer to The Rise of Skywalker. But, there are a lot of characters in this book that are getting reintroduced and,
totally.
So it's going to be a good thing. And I think I've heard nothing but good things about it so far.
Yeah, I'm only doing the audio-book. I'm only a couple hours into it.
Yeah, I think I'm only in the first chapter. Still.
Yeah, so but already, I think I'm in chapter 3, and it's already, or 4. Already, they've shown a lot of characters, familiar characters. If you've read a lot of the other books and stuff like that, so it's I love the connectivity of it so far, and I think it's working its way to being something quite. I can already feel it. Pretty major, I feel like, for if you're going into Rise of Skywalker. I feel like this is going to be pretty much a have-to kind of book.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I think it'll give you so much good context.
Yes, I agree.
I don't think it's going to be anything too... I don't think you're going to obviously miss any plot points from the Rise of Skywalker if you don't read this. I don't think any book will do that. But context-wise, and to really getting in a good sense of where it's headed, I think this book will be pretty much a must-read. And Yeah, I mean, so far it's a lot of fun. It's really
Nice.
cool.
So yeah, we've got a few weeks before Rise of Skywalker,
Yeah.
so I'm sure I'll get it done by then.
Yeah.
As well as I do want to dive in some of these comics that are coming out before then too, and then of course the comic that starts after the movie comes out, which is The Rise of Kylo Ren, is going to be a very interesting.
Yeah, I
thing
know.
to read.
I'm excited to get into Force Collector.
Oh yeah,
well.
that's right. That
That's
comes
gonna
out
be cool.
here. That comes out here shortly.
Yeah.
The end of this month, I think. Okay, moving on to our last couple things, which is The Mandalorian, and then of course a little bit I want to get into on The Rise of Skywalker, which is Leia a little bit. So with The Mandalorian, as we start kind of speculating a little bit here, the one thing that I want to talk about for sure is the first 3 episodes have, I guess you can call synopsises, but they're
log
one
line
line.
there,
They're one line descriptions. That's all they've kind of released. Now this kind of goes back to the article that I read about the 30 minutes that were released to reviewers, the critics, in a sense, and that the 30 minutes were of the first 3 episodes, but it was shuffled and mixed so that it didn't reveal the true storyline, right?
Yeah,
So
it's so confusing, I feel like.
well, there's a lot they're trying to hide.
Yeah.
Bottom line. So here's why they're trying to hide it, because these are only one lines. But episode 1. Now this is strange too, because when we talked about this on the other show, is that what I saw released was chapters. They called it chapter 1. So I don't know if it's chapter 1 or episode 1, but either way, the first episode of The Mandalorian goes by this: a Mandalorian bounty hunter tracks a target for a well-paying client. Wow.
Yeah.
Episode 2, target in hand, the Mandalorian must now contend with scavengers. Could be the fight with the Trandoshans that we see.
Among a lot of others, yeah.
All the fighting that we're seeing could be that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Episode 3, the battered Mandalorian returns to his client for reward.
So
Now, I think when I first read these 3, I am completely convinced that the structure of this show is actually going to be very similar to what we've seen with the Clone Wars and with Rebels. Is that every 3 or 4 episodes is kind of a story arc. Like I don't think, again, just by what I'm gathering and what I know of Dave Filoni, because we're best friends and all that stuff.
I've seen him
Yeah, in a distance.
several times. Yeah.
On stage.
Breathe the same air.
Yeah. No, I won't go there. But the 3, these 3 episodes, it's like, I feel like the 8 episodes we're getting, like I kind of envision 2, maybe 3 arcs.
Yeah.
And this is the first arc. He gets hired to do something, and he gets his bounty, and he's on his way back to get reward. And obviously through that, there's going to be things that pop up.
Yeah.
That'll lead to the next arc. And I just think, going back and rewatching some of the Clone Wars stuff that I have and the Rebel stuff that I have, it's like, I mean, one of the best arcs I'll point out is at the end of season 5 on the Clone Wars, that whole thing about Maul and Mandalore. You remember that?
Yeah, yeah.
When Palpatine shows up and fights him. It's like that 3 episode arc is, purely one of the best things that they've ever done. It's incredible.
Yeah. And,
I mean, you get spoilers. I mean, you get Satine dies. You learn about Obi-Wan's relationship with her. Death Watch, Pre Vizsla gets killed, and then of course Savage gets killed by Palpatine. I mean, there's like, and when you watch it, it's like, wow, there's a lot of death going on in this series. So I think that's the kind of stuff that I think that's what we're going to get out of this show, personally.
Yeah. No, I think, Yeah, I still don't know. I feel like the item or art, whatever target he's going after, just do think that will be kind of a big deal.
You think it's a person? Or you think
I only
it's an
think
artifact?
it's a person just because of what I remember seeing in the clips we saw at Celebration. But maybe it's not. I don't know, because we've had speculations here about what it could be. I think, yeah, but nonetheless, I think whatever he's doing, maybe it's how he even gets it, and maybe he did something along the way of getting it that's going to upset the bad guys, and they're going to come back after him. I don't know, but yeah, I do think whatever this 3-act, this arc is going to be, the rest of the season kind of is a response to whatever happens in that. Like the villain, the Werner Herzog and Moff Gideon. I mean, they're the villains probably throughout the whole season. So,
Yeah.
whatever happens in the first 3 episodes of this one job, I think it will very much affect the rest of the season. So it's all going to connect. I don't think it's going to be too disjointed. I don't think it's going to be, let's do, this first episode you're going to find a rare artifact. The next episode you're going to find a bad guy, like an alien that needs to collect a bounty on. So I think they're all going to be connected to some, obviously some wider thing. We could speculate all you want on that, but I don't know what it is. I mean, it's weird because we've seen some shots of the trailers. We see a repeated shot of those creatures in carbonite and I've read it. It wasn't clear to me, but I read that that's actually on the Mandalorian ship that he's delivering that. Mm-hmm. So could be people, and it's like we said many times, we don't know what's going on. So there's so much we can speculate on.
Yeah. It kind of makes me quickly wonder too. Like, did the carbonite thing actually originate from episode 5, or that was always the?
What do you mean?
To freeze your bounty and take it. Like, did Boba Fett do it? And they're like, wow, that's a great idea.
That's how we can use it.
Why haven't we thought of that before?
Yeah.
Like, I wonder if that's where it became. Yeah. Or if it's always been common like that.
It's a cool new thing.
Yeah.
All the bounty hunters are doing it now.
Yeah. Like Boba. Like, yeah. Like, that's Han Solo. Is he alive in there?
Yeah.
Wow.
You're telling me I can just freeze him and move him and float him around all over the place. I don't have to lift it myself.
And then if they want him to come back alive, they can come back alive.
Press a few buttons and like, gosh,
that's
why is no one else doing this?
Yeah.
I'm not patent this method.
So, what do you out of this first season? I mean, what do you want to get out of this first season? Like where do you think this is going? And I mean, how do you feel like this season is gonna propel into the next season? Like, what could possibly happen with the Mandalorian?
Whenever I try to speculate these things, I always try to feel like, what's the most craziest realistic thing that could happen? Because I keep thinking, like, because I feel like we were on a pretty good track that I'm very comfortable with, of him being tied to Clan Vizsla and Darksabers coming in, all this stuff, and so whether or not Sabine comes in or Bo-Katan comes in, which I think possibly whatever, but I think it would be kind of cool, and like maybe insane thing that could happen at the end of the season is maybe the thread throughout could be the resurgence of Mandalorians, the resurgence of Mandalore. Maybe it's a thing of this character's arc, the Mandalorian's arc, is to become the new leader of Mandalore. And so it's like his arc, his hero's journey to basically be the hero, and to not so much be the lone gunman, cold-hearted bounty hunter anymore, and instead to be the compassionate hero, take up the Darksaber, if that's even around, regardless if it's around, to become a leader of Mandalore. That would be really cool to me. I can see that being a flowing thing.
Yeah.
Bringing it back, bringing everything, the culture and everything back to rebirth of Mandalorian from the Empire's rule. And the reason I go there is mainly because of most of these trailers repeats the lines from Werner Herzog's character, talking about the revolution, what the Empire did to your people. And then you have, I always forget her name. I just know she's the voice of Mulan Mulan's character, Fennec Shand.
Oh yeah,
She's saying, you know, your name would be legendary, and then it's like you got
Ming-Na Wen.
okay.
Yeah,
and then you have IG-11 saying, you know, Car. It's like they're all their lines. It's very much hyping up Mandalorian to being this like amazing character and this legendary heroic person. Well, it doesn't seem like he's starting off that way. So it's just, to me, that would be a good arc, is to become the hero, not just the Clint Eastwood type who saves people from town to town, but instead something grander, bigger, which would be, I don't know, leader of Mandalore. So that would be insane.
that would be.
Might not go there, but to me, that's like, what would be the craziest, biggest thing they could do? It's like, well, he could do this. And so that's kind of my grand scheme.
Yeah,
theory.
I think there has to be something bigger for him, because like you said, I think you're going to lose interest from even fans like us, that if it's just the same arc about, you know, achieving you know, getting hired to do something and then trying to find the good in it and make it good and then return it. It's like, you know, that can only go so far.
You can. I mean, it's like Mad Max in a way. It's like,
yeah, exactly.
But let's not get to Thunderdome. All right, let's cut it short soon, and let's do something else.
So I think the character has to be there has to be a greater purpose for him. And I think I just think the obvious choice is the Darksaber. I think the obvious choice is the Mandalore, which is considered the leader of Mandalore. You know, it's like so I hope it goes there, and I think it's going to be. I think that would be a great journey to see. And right now, I do think that's where it's going to go.
I mean, it's kind of like to me, the arc similar to Bo-Katan, similar to Sabine, where they were all presented with this, like, there's a calling for you to lead your people.
Yeah.
You know, Sabine didn't quite do it. She passed it off to Bo-Katan, and we don't know what happened to her. So she could be gone or dead or giving it up. You know, whatever happened with her in the Empire.
Or we find out in this.
Yeah, I'm totally on board with her coming. I think of all the people, I think she, to me, is the definite one. And I've been binge watching The Flash, the actress who voices Bo-Katan. I always forget her name. Kate.
She's on. Yeah,
McPhee, whatever. It's something like.
No,
anyways,
we were just talking about.
She plays Eminette on The Flash. She's a villain on The Flash. And she's a very fun character on there. So, but she does a lot of it. She has a Netflix show. She does a lot of stuff. So she's very much an on-camera actor, in addition to a voice actor. She could totally be the live-action version. Katie Sackhoff.
Yeah.
She could totally be the on-camera version.
She could.
As Bo-Katan. You know, so it's like you have the actress there, I feel like already. It's totally within the realms of possibilities.
Yeah, and I think Tia Sakar could be the on-camera.
She'd be so cool.
Sabine.
That'd be so cool.
I mean, why not? You know?
Yeah. I mean, it's like, I do feel like Filoni's going to be like keeping his characters, besides maybe Bo-Katan, but like Sabine. She's Lothal.
Yeah.
She's doing her thing with Lothal, with Ahsoka. They're doing something over there.
Oh, we don't know.
Yeah, we're not going to.
They're looking for Ezra.
Yeah, so who knows? But like Bo-Katan, or even maybe Sabine's family. Like, you know, she has family left. Her
mother, her son, her brother.
Yeah, maybe this guy is her brother. Who knows? So it's like maybe Mandalorian is her family. It's like, but I think
he's a Vizsla.
I think he's a Vizsla. Yeah, he's a Vizsla. He's a Vizsla. So that's so exciting to think of, and I'm so pumped to see. And I don't know if we're gonna get that all in the first episode. I mean, we always hear about this big moment in the first episode, and you know, we have the theories about that, but I don't know what that could really be.
Right? Yeah. Well, that's dropping here in about 6 hours, so we'll watch that and report back to everybody. Again, you're getting 2 episodes this week. You're getting the first episode. Right, you're getting the first episode tomorrow, and then you're getting the second one on Friday.
Right.
So Friday, I don't know what time they'll drop, but it'll be available on Friday, and then every Friday from then on. Of course, the week of the Rise of Skywalker, it'll be that Wednesday, the 18th. But the season finale will be December 27th. Friday, December 27th. All right, so last thing we want to talk about is, as we continue our journey here, as part of our journey to Rise of Skywalker, is the character of Leia. Such a huge character in the Star Wars universe, but this kind of stems from an article that was an interview done by Yahoo with her brother and Carrie Fisher's brother. And, kind of what was talked about on there was really what Carrie Fisher's role was actually supposed to be in episode 9.
Yeah.
Not what it ended up being because of her death, but what the plan was beforehand. Now, the plan being, I don't necessarily know, it's not really portrayed or it's not really illustrated enough, whether or not it was JJ's plan, or was it Colin Trevorrow's plan? Was it Kathleen Kennedy's plan? I doubt it was hers, but I think it was probably Colin's, and it got changed obviously when she died. And what he described it was that the plan was that she was supposed to be, she as in Leia was supposed to be the Last Jedi, and end up wielding a lightsaber. Almost cool. An Obi-Wan style in a sense, in A New Hope. So I don't know what you feel like, but that sounds a lot odd to me.
It does seem quite opposite of what the trilogy was headed to. I mean, Rey's the Last Jedi, Rey's the hero. I can't see all of a sudden that being Leia being the Last Jedi when Rey clearly is the next Jedi. So that seems contradicting to me. But I definitely am on board with Leia wielding a lightsaber. That's what I think. That's at least what I've always wanted. And we got some of those moments. Like I remember when I was first getting into the old EU, back in middle school, and then reading books with that's always wanted to see. I want to see Leia progress in her Force abilities and wielding a lightsaber. You got that in some stories, but and that's what I would love to have seen in the books. I mean, sorry, in the films, the sequel trilogy, and that's why I personally love so much what people are calling the Super Leia or Mary Poppins Leia scene.
Yeah.
It's like that to me is super cool, and that's what I've been wanting to see is Leia using the Force in a really cool way, and that to me was like one of the coolest ways I think she could have done it. It was whatever it is very. Crap, a silly. You could say it was a silly way, but I thought it was a cool way of doing it. But yeah, her wielding lightsaber would be sweet. I would love to have seen that.
But it's funny. And right now, maybe you remember. I can't remember where it was illustrated this in canon. But there was a conversation about her being trained, and Luke, wanted to train her, but she felt like
right.
Her thing was still public service.
I think that was Bloodline.
I think it was Bloodline.
Yeah, I think.
And, I think she felt like she could do better with how she was raised, doing what she did for all of her life was, fighting for people in the Senate or with politics. Let Luke, train that next generation or whatever. And, she never really, learned that side of the Force. And it's something that's definitely part of her life, but I don't know. I don't know how fast she could have just picked it up and gone at it. You know what I mean? And and it just would have been weird, like you said, because you've set up these characters with Rey, Finn, Poe, Kylo, and if she becomes the hero of the story all of a sudden, and it kind of, I don't know, it kind of diminishes really why you had these characters in the first place. Because then at that point, why couldn't it have been just about the original characters?
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I've heard early on that 9 was going to be Leia's movie.
Yeah, and it can be because, I mean, Han was very much the story in The Force Awakens, right?
Yeah, he definitely took the spotlight whenever he was in the scene.
Yes, but it was still the journey of Kylo and Rey, where Rey was coming from and all that stuff. The Last Jedi is, it was kind of Luke's movie, so I definitely feel like that was the trend. You would have had a prominent Leia, but it still would have culminated with Rey and Kylo, I still think.
Yeah. I mean, Luke very clearly put Rey up as the Last Jedi, and I mean everything that happened in Last Jedi really put Rey up to be that legacy moving forward. And I don't know how Leia could have offered for that, because Force Awakens, Last Jedi, didn't really see too many signs of her at all with the Force. So all of a sudden she's, I could see her wielding a lightsaber, but like it being the status of the Last Jedi, that doesn't seem right to me. But who knows? Maybe it would have been, in its first draft it was an entirely different direction. Yeah. So who knows?
And I'm curious to know. I'd be curious to know if that version had Palpatine returning.
Right.
Like, was she going to fight Palpatine?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Right? So maybe, I mean, that actually would have been pretty cool.
Dark Empire, and sang it over and over again.
Yeah, right? Gosh, yeah, that's right.
Dark Empire.
Didn't she have a lightsaber? She gets a lightsaber. And
she fights Luke.
And
then they fight Palpatine. Yeah.
So that's they could have been pulling from that for sure. So,
but where's Rey and all that? It's like, what's Rey doing?
No, exactly. So I do think he does mention in the article, also in the interview, that there was 8 minutes of footage that keeps being talked about. 8 minutes of footage that they had to pull from.
Okay.
So I'm still under the belief that we're not getting very much of her, and I think that she's going to be in the first act, and that's it.
Yeah. No, I don't. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think
there's going to be a goodbye send-off in that first act. Mm-hmm. I think we're seeing a little bit of that in the trailer with her hugging Rey.
Yep.
I think that's the moment that she's exiting this series,
yes.
And I think that's the moment that everybody's going to bawl their eyes out.
I know. That's what it's like. You can't. Okay. It's like, you gotta find a way to exit Leia, quite possibly if you're, doing that. But like Leia and 3PO, if 3PO's going to, it's like, this is gonna be the hardest movie to watch.
It is. It's gonna be very
Everybody's
hard.
Gone.
Yeah, JJ. I was on JJ a little bit in The Force Awakens. That there were good moments in there, but there weren't. I didn't feel like there were really strong JJ moments. Like even the death of Han, like I felt it, but I think there was some JJ in that usually he gives me that I'm like, and I think back to movies like Star Trek, honestly, and like Super 8, and there's moments in there that I'm like,
8. Wow,
this is emotional. And
Super 8, definitely.
Yes, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't get that fully in Force Awakens like I expected, even though I loved it. Mm-hmm. But I feel like I'm going to get it in this one.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like there's going to be 2 or 3 moments where I'm like, wow. I mean, even the trailer alone is making me cry.
Yeah.
I'm not prepared yet. I'm not prepared.
I know.
For this movie yet.
That's tough, yeah.
So, last thing is, Leia overall, with being a short scene, probably a short, time on screen in this movie, and overall, it's like, do you think that her impact of this film, or how much is her impact going to be on this film, even though it's going to be just short? And if what we're hearing or believing is that it's just probably a few minutes and that's it.
No,
I mean the storyline especially, like what would she contribute to the story?
I definitely think I felt this early on. I think her legacy will be felt throughout the entire movie. Whatever her send off is, whatever last cool moment with Leia where she says something to give the heroes hope and another spark. I guess you can use that analogy again. I think that lasting words of wisdom and peace will just resonate throughout the rest of the movie, especially with Poe. I think Poe's going to have something from Leia that will push him through the rest of his journey as he's still going, more on his journey towards being a leader. I think he needs one last thing from Leia. Rey definitely looks like she gets some good moment with Leia, emotional moment with Leia. I don't know about Finn; he doesn't seem too connected to Leia, but I think in Luke, whatever Luke role he's playing, I think he'll echo those sentiments from Leia, whatever that is. I think this is still will be very much her movie in terms of her legacy. And like you just said, the first act will kind of memorialize that, I think, and then we'll feel it the rest of the movie, because there's still so much, to me at least as a viewer, there's still so much unanswered or unrequited kind of feelings with Ben and Leia. Ben Solo and Leia. There's so much more there that I think needs to be unpacked. Like the moment in Last Jedi where he almost blew up the bridge, the command bridge there, and almost killed Leia himself. He didn't. I think that is huge still, and isn't quite settled within Kylo. I think that is still something that needs to be worked out and will be felt throughout this last movie. I think that's the last glimmer of hope for him. His connection to Leia, and I think that's going to be worked out, for good or bad. That's going to be worked out.
Yeah, that's good. That's good thoughts, and I think the overall impact that she's had on this saga is second to none. Yeah. I mean, she in some instances has been the saga, even though she obviously is not in the prequels, but. I think George did a hell of a job illustrating where she got her personality and her compassion, which is from Padme. And Padme has become such a huge character.
Great connection, yeah.
So, there's a lot of similarities in those characters, and Leia being the first female characters as truly introduced in Star Wars, from 77. It's like, I don't think I don't think a lot of people in this new generation that have experienced these sequel trilogy, I hope they understand where the character of Leia, I hope they understand where she's come from and the impact she had back in the 70s with being this, not the damsel in distress, but the actual hero of that story, in a sense, right? One of the heroes. I mean, in most cases, she was the one saving them versus getting saved. So, it's highly unfortunate that she passed because and unfortunately, Peter passed as well. Peter Mayhew passed and Kenny Baker passed. We've lost some of the original Star Wars cast that you look back and you wish they could have made it through the entire way, but but we have been fortunate to keep some like Harrison and Mark and Anthony Daniels, Billy D coming back. It's a treat. It's sad, because it's gonna end the saga, but it's even more sad to know that she wasn't fully part of it, and we never know, obviously, what her impact could have been. So,
all the more reason I think, going back to Resistance Reborn, why people should read it, because Leia's very much in it, and it reminds me a lot of Bloodline and how important she's in the story, and you get a great sense of her character in that as well.
Yes. Okay, everybody, we're less than 6 hours away from the Mandalorian, so we got to go. Casey's got to get some sleep in. Thanks for listening, everybody. Great episode. A lot to unpack there. If you're like us, you're going to dive into Mandalorian. You're going to dive into Jedi Fallen Order. Resistance Reborn is out there. Go dive into that. A lot of Star Wars stuff to talk about this month as we lead to December 20 or December 19th. In our case, for The Rise of Skywalker. Just a lot of Star Wars content to talk about. So we'll be back next week. Go check out our Facebook group on facebook.com/groups/Inside the Force. Go ahead and join us there to continue some conversations. I am co-hosting the Mandalore podcast with Martin Donison. We are recording episodes after the Mandalorian episodes, where we're going to kind of break it down and talk more. Obviously, we'll do some of that too with Casey here on this episode, on this show. So just all kinds of Mandalorian podcasts out there. So go listen to that. That is at just search Mandalore podcast on all your podcast apps. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great week.
Yeah. A lot of Disney to consume this week.
Gosh, yeah, I know. Lots to consume. And it starts here in 6 hours. For Casey.
Goodbye, everybody.
I'm Dave. May the Force be with you.